In a country bursting at the seams with high-quality firearms, where every manufacturer seems to think they've invented the next best thing, the U.S. Army was facing a daunting question. How do you replace the legendary MP5K, the original icon of compact firepower? And there was definitely some stipulations, something small enough to fit inside the glove box and something strong enough to survive inside a war zone. Enter the APC9K, and B&T didn't shout, B&T didn't brag, B&T didn't even advertise it. They just handed the little Swiss beauty over and let the engineering do the talking for itself. By the end of the testing, it wasn't even a competition. The Army wasn't just impressed, they were smitten. The APC9K didn't just win the contract, it kicked the door down, handed in its Glock-compatible magazines and said, "When do I start?" Because when it comes to the perfect blend of size, speed, and Swiss precision, the APC9K is proof that good things really do come in small, fully automatic packages. Okay, so I'm just going to get into some basics. First off, the APC9 Pro is just the Gen 2 APC9 with the non-reciprocating charge handle, and the K is a Pro. You don't have to call it an APC9K Pro, it's just an APC9K. It's a K, everyone knows. The K is a lightweight submachine gun chambered in 9mm. It has dual non-reciprocating side charge handles and operates using a buffer-assisted blowback. It was designed sometime between 2016 and 2018 after addressing issues from operators using the Gen 1 APC9 platform, which basically brings us to the U.S. Army's SubCompact weapons trial. In May 2018, the U.S. Army released a RFI, a request of information, which was basically a broad request for the whole firearms industry to show them their compact weapons systems. Initially, the Army had only specified they were seeking a select-fire 9mm platform with Picatinny rails for mounting accessories. No size, weight requirements were listed, and the whole thing was very vague. I'll pull it up on screen. You can see general is basically what the gun's going to be delivered with. Then you have ammunition, stating that it's going to be compatible with 9mm military-grade parabellum ammunition. And then third, you have subcompact weapon. The subcompact weapon will be fully semi-automatic selectable variant that has a 1913 Picatinny rail. Pretty vague, like I said. And notably, the ambidextrous controls and folding stock are not requirements in this initial RFI, nor was there even a request for submissions. This was more like Army putting out their feelers to see what everyone had and what was out there in the compact 9mm subgun market. It's also interesting because it was a change from the focus on small caliber high velocity rounds capable of defeating body armor in favor of a more common 9mm round that wasn't. The Army had been moving away from the 9mm submachine gun since the 50s in favor of the more traditional assault rifles we know today. But this wasn't the first time the Army's interest in small PDWs has resurfaced. In the 90s, we saw the NATO PDW trials, and in 2007, the Army wanted something that was bigger than a pistol but smaller than a carbine. And in 2018, the focus was to acquire a PDW to aid in personal security detail where larger platforms were not viable. A deadline for submissions was set for May 18th, 2018. And after all the evaluations were done, procurement contracts were drawn up for a total of $258,000 and change. The cash awarded varied from $8,000 to just over $39,000, and no specifications on quantities for procurement were ever given out. Initially, 10 weapons were submitted into the trial for consideration. The competition included submissions from companies like Colt, CMMG, Sig Sauer, Angstad Arms, Handle Defense, Zenith Firearms, and a number of smaller manufacturers, along with the big dog, H&K. Submissions ranged from M4-style 9mm carbines to updated versions of the prolific H&K MP5 submachine gun. AR pattern platforms made up the bulk of the competition. Okay, so now I'm just going to briefly go over all the submissions at this point. First, we have Colt. They entered the CM9mm-9H-M5A, or the Colt Modular 9mm subcompact weapon. Next, we have the CMMG Ultra PDW, probably the select fire version of their MK9 PDW most likely. The Lewis Machine and Tool Company submitted the Mars L9 compact suppressed weapon. As far as I know, it's the only integrally suppressed weapon that was submitted. Quarter Circle 10 submitted 2 weapons for testing, the 5.5 CLT and the 5.5 QV5, both of which have designs that feed off of Colt MP5 or Glock magazines. Angstad Arms and Novesk were 2 of 3 companies that were added on the 16th of June to the original 10 listed. Angstad submitted the UDP-9, a Glock-fed carbine with Magpul furniture, and it's just 24 inches long, and the contract was for $15,900. Novesk, up until this point, as far as I know, had never made a 9mm AR, and I think that is what they submitted. Zenith submitted 3 of their MP5 clones, the Z5RS, the Z5P, and the C5K, and with contracts valuing $39,000, this was the largest of all the 13 submissions. PTR submitted the 9CS subcompact weapon, but presumably the select fire version, the 9C. Heckler & Koch decided to submit their UMP-9. The award was for $10,800, which is only a fraction of the Zenith contract. And when the SCW trial was first announced, the general internet consensus was that CZ and Sig Sauer are going to be the top contenders. Sig was awarded a $20,000 contract for their MPX platform. CZ was awarded a $14,000 submission for the Scorpion Evo 3A1. And at this point, B&T hadn't even submitted any guns directly, but Trident Rifles submitted the MP9 at a cost of $36,000. And shout out to Axe Arms, I got some inside information. Apparently Sean Sullivan is now the current majority stakeholder of B&T, and he was the owner of Trident Arms. So before they were actually pursuing military contracts, he ended up doing this deal through his other company. And I guess he was the one that identified that B&T had a good chance of winning this competition and actually brought it to Carl Ruger's attention. So they linked up, and this is how the APC9K was designed, and this is basically how he got his place at B&T, which makes a lot of sense because you can't find anything about the APC9K pre this trial. And that is not the only B&T submission not submitted by B&T. We have the PMX by Beretta was submitted. It's actually a design of the P26 with a couple small changes like ambi controls and a better selector and a more robust stock, but only made by Beretta instead of B&T. And in my opinion, this is a big turning point of this story because this SCW trial was somewhat short-lived because the RFI request for information was soon canceled on June 2nd, and at least temporarily, no one was getting any money, no one was selling any guns, and also, the requirements were going to change. I'll put it up on the screen. It says, the synopsis of contract awarded is amended on July 2nd, 2018 to notify industry that due to changes in the government's requirements, this opportunity is hereby canceled effective immediately. The government is in the process of establishing new requirements for the SubCompact weapons program and will announce the change on this website within the next 2 weeks. Vendors interested will be notified of new opportunity and encouraged to sign up under the Interested Vendors List tab of this announcement. Manufacturers still interested in submitting guns whose platforms still meet requirements set forth in the new RFI would have to resubmit. The new notice was posted on June 18th, asking manufacturers, quote, create a highly concealable SCW system capable of engaging threat personnel with a high volume of lethal force while accurately firing at close range with minimal collateral damage. The new RFI speculated the platform be optimized for 147 grain 9mm with both 20 and 30 round magazines available. It must fire 60 rounds per minute for 5 minutes without cookout and have ambidextrous controls with a magazine in front of the grip. It was also announced that only 6 competitors were going to be chosen in this competition. The selected winner would have to produce a minimum of 350 guns and a possible 1,000 depending on the Army's requirements. And in September 2018, the list of guns was finally released. It included the UDP-9 by Angstad Arms, the Sig Sauer MPX-K, the B&T APC9K, the Global Ordnance Strybog AP9A3S, the Shield Arms SA9, and ironically, Trident Rifles B&T MP9 was still in the running, even though it was lacking the ambi controls and the mag was in the grip. In my opinion, this is probably due to the really small size. And I can't find any info on how many guns B&T sent or if they sent other guns like the APC-9, but you all know that the APC-9K won this contract, and this really cemented B&T as a top contender in the firearms industry of America and Switzerland. I love the APC-9K so much, I literally have 2 of these things. Let me know what color you think I should Cerakote the second APC-9K, or should I leave it this tan color, the OG sand color? Let me know. And make sure to show some love and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers this year. I need your help. Peace.